If intelligence protected people from false beliefs, then the smartest people would be the hardest to fool. But history doesn't show that. In fact, it shows the opposite. Some of the most educated societies believed ideas that were deeply wrong. Brilliant thinkers defended claims that later collapsed under simple evidence. Highly intelligent people have justified disasters, confidently, calmly, and publicly. So the question isn't why ignorant people believe false things. That question is easy. The real question is harder. Why do smart people believe them too? We like to think intelligence is a shield, that if you read enough, think enough, analyze enough, truth eventually wins. We imagine the brain as a neutral judge, listening carefully, weighing evidence, choosing the best answer. But that's not how the brain actually works. Most of your thinking doesn't begin with logic. It begins with instinct, emotion, protection. Reasoning comes later, not to discover truth, but to explain what you already feel is right. Imagine reading a report that proves a political idea you strongly support is flawed. Your brain will notice the argument, but often dismiss it, focusing instead on points that feel safe. Your brain wasn't designed to understand reality clearly. It was designed to keep you safe. And for most of human history, safety had nothing to do with truth. It had everything to do with belonging. Being accepted by your group meant protection. Being rejected, even if you were right, meant isolation, danger, or death. So the brain evolved to prioritize harmony over accuracy, comfort over correctness, stability over truth. That wiring never disappeared. It just learned how to sound intelligent. Today, your brain doesn't ask, "Is this true?" It asks, "Does this threaten me? Does this make me uncomfortable? Does this put my identity at risk?" And if the answer is yes, logic never even gets a chance. Think about office environments. Sometimes it's easier to agree with a confident team leader, even if you know they're wrong, than to challenge them and risk standing out. This is where confirmation bias enters. Confirmation bias isn't a flaw in intelligence. It's a shortcut built into the brain. Your mind constantly filters information, long before you consciously evaluate it. Most ideas don't even reach your awareness. They're quietly screened out based on whether they feel safe or threatening. Information that agrees with what you already believe passes through easily. It feels familiar, comfortable, almost obvious. Information that challenges you meets resistance immediately, not because it's wrong, but because it creates internal friction. This filtering happens emotionally first, not logically. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, acts as a gatekeeper. Anything that threatens your beliefs, your identity, or your social standing is flagged as dangerous. Once that alarm is triggered, rational thinking slows down. Your body reacts before your mind can question. This is why certain ideas feel wrong instantly, before you've actually examined them. You're not rejecting the evidence. You're protecting yourself. Here's where intelligence complicates things. Smart people don't just feel this reaction. They explain it. Instead of saying, "This makes me uncomfortable," the mind says, "This argument is flawed." Instead of noticing emotional resistance, the brain constructs reasons. The smarter the person, the better those reasons sound. That's why intelligence doesn't remove bias. It often disguises it. So when you hear something that confirms what you already believe, it feels true. And when you hear something that challenges you, it feels wrong. Not because of logic, but because your brain decided first and explained later. Here's the uncomfortable part. Intelligence doesn't weaken confirmation bias. In many cases, it strengthens it. A smart mind doesn't abandon a belief easily. It builds defenses around it. When evidence threatens a belief, an intelligent brain doesn't panic. It adapts. It finds loopholes, exceptions, alternative explanations, not to discover the truth, but to preserve coherence. This is called motivated reasoning. The mind starts with a conclusion, then works backward to justify it. The smarter the person, the more convincing the justification becomes. You've seen this before. A highly intelligent person explains why a failed decision actually makes sense, why warning signs were exaggerated, why critics don't understand the full picture. The explanation sounds logical, even persuasive, but underneath it is something simpler. A refusal to feel wrong. Not stupidity, protection. This is why debates almost never change minds. Once a belief becomes part of identity, challenging it feels like a personal attack. The brain doesn't hear, "You might be mistaken." It hears, "You are threatened." At that point, logic stops listening. It starts defending. Beliefs aren't just ideas. They're social anchors. They tell us who we are, where we belong, who we stand with. Changing a belief can mean losing status, certainty, or connection. So the brain resists, even when facts are clear. This is why rumors, ideologies, and narratives spread so easily. They don't need to be accurate. They need to feel useful. Simple ideas feel truer than complex ones. Repeated ideas feel safer than unfamiliar ones. This is cognitive fluency. A clean, confident statement feels more convincing than a nuanced, uncertain truth. Smart people mistake clarity for correctness, confidence for accuracy, and the brain rewards the easier story. The danger isn't believing false things. Everyone does. The danger is believing you're immune. The most accurate thinkers aren't the loudest. They're the most uncomfortable. They question their own certainty. They separate belief from identity. So the real question isn't why smart people believe false things. It's whether you're willing to sit with discomfort long enough to see clearly. If this made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. This channel isn't about comfort. It's about clarity. Like and subscribe if you want to understand how your mind actually works.